Imagine standing on the pitch, the deafening roar of the massive crowd violently ringing in your ears, knowing that you are about to step onto the grass and face the absolute undisputed kings of world football. This is not just a regular football match, it is a terrifying collision of two completely different universes. On one side of the halfway line, you have the mighty Argentina. They are sitting comfortably on their throne as the #1 ranked team on the entire planet. They are the reigning world champions, the undisputed masters of the beautiful game, a team filled with superstars who play football like it is a fine art. On the exact opposite side, you have Jordan, ranked 63rd in the world. They are a team built not on luxury or global superstardom, but on raw passion, relentless grit, and the audacious, almost crazy dream of doing the completely impossible. When the referee's whistle blew today, let us be completely honest with ourselves. Absolutely no one truly expected a miracle to happen. But football is a very funny, unpredictable game, is it not? It plays with your mind. It makes you believe that maybe, just maybe, David can actually slay Goliath on a magical night. Welcome back to Total Football Nexus. We are the channel where we decode the absolute madness, the deep tactics, and the intense psychology of the beautiful game. Today, we are tearing apart the chaotic, high-voltage first half between Argentina and Jordan. And let me tell you right now, the scoreboard might clearly say 2-0, but the actual story unfolding on that green pitch is an absolute psychological thriller that belongs in a Hollywood movie. Let us rewind the clock to the very first second of the match, the exact moment the referee signaled the start. You could instantly feel the intense tactical warfare begin. Argentina did exactly what ruthless champions do. They completely suffocated the pitch. They took the ball, and they simply refused to give it back to their opponents. It was exactly like watching a giant predator playfully torture its food before the final kill. The passing was incredibly crisp. The off-the-ball movement was absolutely relentless. They were constantly dragging the exhausted Jordanian defenders out of their preferred positions, forcing them to desperately chase shadows under the immense, crushing pressure. Jordan was immediately backed into a dark corner, relying purely on nervous adrenaline and a desperate, deep defensive block just to survive the initial onslaught. But as we all know, adrenaline only lasts for so long when you are constantly chasing ghosts in the midfield. The tension inside the stadium was building to a boiling point. The defensive dam was slowly cracking under the heavy weight of the Argentine attacks. You could literally see the deep frustration and panic creeping into the eyes of the Jordanian players. They were running on an empty tank, desperately trying to plug massive holes in a rapidly sinking ship. And then, the very first real visible crack appeared for the whole world to see. Minute 17, the entire stadium collectively holds its breath. Mohamed Abu Taha, looking completely desperate to break the relentless, hypnotic Argentine rhythm, lunges in for a tackle. It is a completely rash, reckless decision, a split second of lost tactical discipline, born out of pure physical exhaustion and sheer mental panic. The referee reaches directly into his pocket without even a single moment of hesitation. A bright yellow card flashes high in the air. That small piece of yellow plastic changed absolutely everything in this match. It was not just a simple physical warning, it was a massive psychological blow to the underdog. It sent a massive shockwave of pure anxiety rippling through the entire Jordanian defense. They realized right then and there that they simply could not match the physical power and the rapid mental processing speed of the South American giants. They were always a full step behind, and the Argentine players absolutely knew it. The Predators smelled fresh blood in the water. Jordan was mentally scrambling, desperately trying to reorganize their lines, desperately trying to calm their racing, pounding hearts. But the Argentine national team does not ever give you time to breathe. They do not understand the concept of mercy. Just 2 short minutes later, at exactly the 19-minute mark, the inevitable finally happened. But it did not happen with a chaotic, messy scramble inside the penalty box. No, it happened with a stunning moment of pure, unadulterated artistic brilliance that leaves you absolutely speechless. A foul is called right in the most dangerous zone imaginable. The defensive wall is frantically set up. The Jordanian goalkeeper is screaming desperate instructions, his eyes wide with the terrifying realization of what is about to happen. Giovani Lo Celso confidently steps over the ball. The massive stadium goes completely eerily silent. The tension in the cold air is so incredibly thick, you could literally cut it with a knife. What exactly goes through a professional player's mind in that exact fraction of a second? Lo Celso calmly looks at the defensive wall. He intensely looks at the terrified keeper. He takes a deep, controlled breath. He strikes the football with a technique so flawlessly perfect that it genuinely defies the established laws of physics. The ball violently curves over the desperate, leaping bodies of the Jordanian wall. It dips with a vicious, unpredictable, completely unstoppable trajectory. The goalkeeper dives, stretching every single sinew and muscle in his entire body, but he is helplessly clutching at thin air. The ball violently ripples the back of the net, a direct free kick of absolute, undeniable majesty. Argentina 1, Jordan 0. The world champions had officially drawn first blood, and they did it with a touch of absolute world-class quality that instantly shattered all remaining Jordanian hopes. But the terrifying nightmare for Jordan was only just beginning. What happened next would completely and utterly break their fighting spirit. The immense psychological damage of that stunning first goal was clearly visible on the exhausted faces of every single Jordanian player standing on the pitch. They had bravely spent the first 20 minutes running themselves completely into the ground, defending with absolutely everything they had in their bodies, only to be completely undone by a single breathtaking moment of individual magic. That is the sheer, unforgiving cruelty of playing against the #1 ranked team in the entire world. You can be tactically perfect for almost 20 whole minutes, executing your manager's game plan flawlessly, and then one single swing of a magical left boot completely destroys all your hard work. After Giovani Lo Celso's absolute midfield masterclass, the entire dynamic and atmosphere of the game completely shifted in an instant. Jordan was suddenly faced with an absolutely impossible, terrifying choice. They could either sit deep back in their own half and simply try to keep the final score somewhat respectable, or they could bravely push their players forward and try to find a desperate, risky way back into the football match. Driven by immense national pride and the deafening roar of their dedicated fans, they attempted to slowly crawl out of their deep defensive shell. They desperately tried to string a few meaningful passes together, pushing their exhausted midfield slightly higher up the pitch to try and disrupt the comfortable Argentine maestros. But little did they know, this was exactly what Argentina was patiently waiting for. This was the ultimate deadly tactical trap set by the world champions. By bravely pushing forward, Jordan tragically left massive, gaping spaces behind their defensive line. These are exactly the kinds of dangerous spaces that elite Argentine attackers can easily exploit in their sleep. As Jordan desperately tried to build some attacking momentum, the ruthless world champions struck them again with cold, highly calculated precision. It is exactly the 31st minute of the match. A rapid, lightning-fast transition catches the entire Jordanian defense completely off guard. The ball is beautifully played directly into the chaotic Jordanian penalty area. Pure, unadulterated panic instantly ensues among the backpedaling defenders. A clumsy, incredibly desperate challenge is made in the terrifying heat of the moment. The referee instantly blows his sharp whistle and points straight to the penalty spot without a single second of hesitation. Penalty awarded to Argentina. The heartbroken Jordanian players immediately surround the referee, loudly pleading, aggressively arguing, and desperately hoping for a miraculous reversal. But the official decision is completely and utterly final. It is a harrowing moment of pure, devastating despair for the underdogs. The wind is completely knocked out of their collective sails. Up confidently steps Lautaro Martinez. He is the ultimate ruthless penalty box poacher, a world-class striker who absolutely thrives and feeds on this exact kind of crushing pressure. He places the ball incredibly carefully on the white spot. The intense psychological mind games begin immediately between the kicker and the keeper. The Jordanian goalkeeper desperately tries to make himself look gigantic, aggressively jumping back and forth on the goal line, trying everything in his power to break Martinez's intense, laser-focused concentration. But Martinez is completely ice-cold. He completely blocks out the deafening noise of the massive crowd. He completely blocks out the immense, suffocating pressure of the moment. He waits incredibly patiently for the referee's sharp whistle to pierce the air. A short, stuttering, highly calculated run-up, a powerful, flawlessly placed strike from his boot. The desperately diving goalkeeper guesses completely wrong. The ball violently hits the back of the net with absolute commanding authority. 2-0. In the incredibly short space of just 12 devastating minutes, the entire game has been completely ripped away from Jordan's grasp. Now they are fighting a completely hopeless cause against a legendary team that looks incredibly hungry for even more blood. The rest of the first half simply becomes a grueling, painful exercise in sheer physical survival for the mentally broken underdogs. The referee suddenly signals for 5 long minutes of added injury time. 5 excruciatingly long, incredibly painful minutes for a battered Jordanian team that desperately just wants to hear the sweet sound of the halftime whistle and immediately escape to the safety of the dressing room. They are completely mentally fatigued and physically drained beyond belief. Argentina, on the exact other hand, is just casually knocking the ball around the massive pitch, flawlessly dictating the slow tempo, practically resting their legs while remaining in total possession of the ball. They proudly swagger into the dressing room at halftime with a very comfortable, dominant 2-goal cushion, completely and utterly in control of their own destiny today. The second half is guaranteed to be a truly fascinating psychological study. Will Jordan come out with a reckless, all-out aggressive attack to try and somehow salvage their deeply wounded pride? Or will they simply park the bus to actively avoid a truly historic, embarrassing humiliation on the global stage? And what about the mighty Argentina? Will they mercifully take their foot off the gas pedal to rest their star players? Or are they going to completely and utterly obliterate their helpless, exhausted opponents? Football is incredibly unpredictable, but one thing is absolutely undeniably certain right now. The South American Giants have sent a terrifying, unmistakable message to the rest of the footballing world. They are utterly ruthless, they are incredibly hungry, and they show absolutely no mercy. Now, I really want to hear from all of you watching right now. What was your absolute favorite, most mind-blowing moment from this insane first half of football? Do you genuinely believe that Jordan can somehow pull off a historic miracle in the second half? Or is Argentina going to relentlessly score even more goals? Please let me know all your wild predictions down in the comments section below. If you absolutely loved this deep tactical breakdown, do not forget to smash that like button and definitely share this video with all your fellow football fanatics. And if you want to constantly stay ahead of the game with